it's Jai452 here again inside the land of cosplay, rummaging around looking for stuff. And look who I found! It's my special guest, the one, the only.
I'm Violet Lolliet.
Hi, Violet. Thank you for taking the time out and spending it with us today and maybe helping us through this land of cosplay. Mm. So, I'm just going to kick the ball off and ask you, when did you first start cosplaying?
I started cosplaying when I was about 16, so about 4 years ago now.
Awesome. Do you remember what your first cosplay was?
My first cosplay was Jack Skeleton from Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas
Awesome.
because I was big on special effects makeup.
Ah, um, who or what inspired you to cosplay?
Um, well, I didn't really know cosplay was a big thing, and I just thought I was dressing up as characters that I liked until I actually met Kobe Kicks cosplay. And she was like, "Oh, you're a cosplayer," and she sort of brought me into the cosplay world.
Awesome. You mentioned Kobe Kicks there, somebody who obviously still cosplays, but are there any other people who cosplay that inspired you to do so?
Um, well, as I've sort of got more into cosplay, I do sometimes look at like Jessica Negri,
Hmm.
but then I also stick close to using my friends for inspiration, like Alpha Betty cosplay and Little Gem.
Two shout outs, in fact, three shout outs there, guys. So, yay. Um, what has been the most challenging cosplay that you've ever done, both from the making of the costume and from the acting side? Because there is a little bit of acting involved in cosplay, even if some people don't really like realize it. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the making of the costume. Which character for you has been the most difficult
Well,
to date?
the making of the costume, I'd say making my Foxfire Ari from League of Legends is definitely the hardest costume I've ever made. And that's simply because every time I made it, I didn't make it with stretchy material. So I had to remake the bodies 2 to 3 times before it was done. And the
Um,
whole armor was new to me as well.
how did you get around that kind of thing?
I ended
Were
up
there
buying a
anybody who
Primark
helped you?
t-shirt and just stretching it over me and sewing it in place and hoping it went well.
Was there anybody who helped you through that process, or was that something you kind of?
Um, I had a little bit of help, but I mainly did everything myself because it was for a competition, so I had to make the whole thing alone.
Awesome. So what cosplay has been the most challenging for you to date from the acting side?
Hmm. I'm not sure. Maybe Juliet Starling. Don't think I've quite got the same brain set as the zombie hunting cheerleader as much as I'd like to have it.
That's great. Um, so quite quite similar to the question we've just answered there. In your opinion, what is the most difficult character or thing to cosplay as, both from like the making of a costume and the acting side? Like what would you just kind of advise people, and obviously yourself, just to kind of like stay away from that, like don't even attempt it.
I think altogether the most difficult was probably Ari, because I didn't have the time to prepare to become Ari, and going to the con I only had one quote memorized and that was it, and it panicked me a bit.
Um, so what would you advise people to do when it comes to that kind of thing? Like if they really want to do a character justice, would you say memorize quite a lot of quotes or?
Yeah, I do find that helps a lot because you'll feel more confident as well. If someone comes up to you and they're like, do a little short video for us. If you know how to do the quotes, if you sit and practice them, your voice gets closer to them.
Mhm.
And that tends to help a lot, in my opinion.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you now, what is like three of the funniest things that have ever happened to you when you've been at a Comic Con?
Um, oh, there's a few. I was trying to think of one because I haven't actually been to that many Comic Cons so far.
Hmm.
I think one of the funniest moments actually ruined one of my cosplay props.
Oh no.
I was doing Maka Allburn from Solita,
Hmm.
and I was with my friend, and he was dressed as a Joker, and he was messing on. And I was swinging my scythe at him, and he decided he was just going to randomly go like that, and headbutted my scythe, and there's now a perfect Joker face paint print on my scythe.
Oh my gosh.
No one got seriously injured. It was just cardboard, but it's just the fact that it's perfect Joker in print.
Please tell me you have pictures of that.
I shall find the blade of the scythe and take a photo.
Awesome. Um, you mentioned that you haven't really done many Comic Cons. There, to me, there are two types of Comic Cons. There's like the big once a year ones, like your
Yeah.
MCMs, your Collectomanias and such like. And then there's like the smaller, more local ones.
Yeah.
Do you prefer like the really big ones, like the once a year ones, or do you like the smaller ones, or do you like a mishmash of the two?
I just like to go to whichever con I can afford to go to at the time.
You're very much like me in that respect then.
I mean,
Um,
I spent all weekend at SunnyCon. That wasn't really small, but it wasn't really, really big.
so it was
That
a
was,
mid-ranger.
yeah.
Awesome. So who did you go as to SunnyCon for those
Um,
of us who haven't seen or heard?
for the first, as Foxfire Ari, which is what I made the costume for,
Hmm.
and I realised how uncomfortable it was halfway through the day, and ended up taking off my armor pieces and putting on my friend's Supergirl dress with half of my Ari costume and being Super Ari.
Yay.
For the Saturday, I did Paige from the WWE Divas.
And I have actually seen your picture of Paige, and at first I was trying to work out who it was you'd done, because like I seen the O on your shoulder, and I was like, Paige
Oh,
doesn't have an O.
no, that's one of my tattoos.
Ah,
It's very hard to cover them up. I keep trying and then they're still faintly there, so I just gave up.
at first I thought it was Paige because like I looked at your top, and I was
Yeah,
like, that's kind of similar to what Paige wears, and then I seen the Divas title, and I was like, yeah, it could be Paige.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was covering Paige.
awesome. Um,
I
and
also, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I was also doing Foxfire Ori on that day for the masquerade and the big cosplay contest.
Awesome.
And then the Sunday, which I'd been asked to do by quite a few people because they were really upset because I wasn't planning on wearing it. I came in my Jinx costume and ran around and was crazy all day.
Wow. Like,
Mhm.
how were you by the end of that?
Well, it was very tiring.
I can imagine. Um, what was the energy like in the area? Was it like very everybody kind of like hyped up or?
On the Friday, it was very, very calm and quiet, and there was just none of the con hype that you generally have.
Hmm.
But once it hit Saturday, it was all more bouncy and everyone was happy. And the same on the Sunday. It was just getting into the con hype as the con went on.
Um, so do you often do the kind of like 3D events, or was that a kind of like special one-off?
It's the first time I've done a 3-day event, but I'd definitely go to one again.
Definitely.
But my first con was only last year, so I haven't had that much chance to go to many.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you and me must be on the same kind of level then, because like my first con was last year as well. So it's quite an interesting thing when you first go to a
Yeah.
con, isn't it? Um, so have you met anybody famous while at different Comic Cons?
I've made so many friends that I can't count. I get to the point now that people will be in their cosplays and they'll come up to me and be like, "Oh, how are you? I haven't seen you since like this con." And I've been like, you're gonna have to remind me who you are because you're in your costume and you're so convincing in your costume. I don't know who you are, but
Uh, Go ahead.
it's definitely close to the 100 mark or so that I've made just from going to cons.
Awesome. Have you met anybody famous while you were at Comic Cons?
This recent Comic Con gone, I've met some YouTubers that I really like and ended up going to the after party and chilling with them for a bit, and that's probably the highlight of the entire time I was at CindyCon.
Awesome.
They
Uh,
actually
Go ahead.
they went home with one of my prop guns for Jinx
Uh-huh.
because they're big league players and one of the main's Jinx. So they went home with my Pow Pow. So my Jinx cosplay's one gun down, so make a new one.
So you mentioned that you were hanging out with some YouTubers. Can you maybe drop some names for us?
What, sorry?
You mentioned you were hanging out with some YouTubers. Could you maybe drop some names?
Well, it was the full group of the people from That's Witty Entertainment.
Awesome.
Is it something witty? Alright, it's something witty entertainment.
Something witty. Okay.
Thank you for that. And they do like the abridged series for Sword Art Online,
hmm That's great.
so it's
So
very nice.
something witty, guys. Go and watch them after you've watched this. Um,
Yeah, and we're with one of Team 4 Star as well.
awesome.
So a lot of
Uh,
people know who they are.
so while you've been actually going to different Comic Cons and whatnot, what is the one thing that you're most excited about? And what is the one thing that you either still do or used to find working?
Depending on how revealing my costume is, I get nervous. I mean, I was fine all of the days of the con, but because of an event I went to,
hmm
I had a few bad comments about me while I was in my Jinx costume, and I got so like wrought up about it. I did not want to wear my Jinx at all, and started working out every day just to try and clear that in my head. It was only because simply so many people asked me to do Jinx that I still did her.
hmm So what was the things that you get most excited about when going to a Comic Con?
Seeing all my friends and getting photos with other cosplayers.
Awesome. What has been your most favorite photograph that you've had done up until now?
Um, I had a rather nice photograph took at Newcastle Film and Comic Con last November
hmm
while I was in my baby doll cosplay, and I met a photographer, and he just sort of pulled me aside and went, "Can I take some photos of you?" And he took one of me in my baby doll cosplay, and it's definitely one of my favorite photos I've ever had taken.
Awesome. Um, what you mentioned about doing the cosplay masquerade or the cosplay competition kind of thing. Have you ever won anything for when you've actually entered into these competitions? And if so, what was running through your head when you got called up?
Well, I haven't won at an like big event. I won at a cosplay night out
hmm
called Jack Dan, and that was a month or so ago now.
Uh-huh.
And I went in my Jinx and I took fish bones with me. So that was a fun night out carrying around a massive gun. But I won the cosplay contest there. And the main thing that was going through my head while I was going to go on the stage was, please say I can get my quote right. I'd been practicing my quote for about 2 weeks at that point to
Awesome.
get her voice down.
And did you get it right?
Yeah, I did.
Phew. Um, so in your opinion, what is the best thing and the worst thing that new cosplayers can do when they're getting ready to go to cosplay events?
The best thing to do is just be confident and always write a list of everything you need so you don't forget a bit of your cosplay. Because there's no worse feeling than getting halfway through the day and going, I forgot to put my fangs in. Because I did that. I did that on Saturday at the contest. It was in my Ari, everything was perfect, and I just went, just as I was about to go on stage, I don't have my fangs with me.
I'm actually going to share a piece of advice that I got given. And we always say this, guys, but we never listen. I got told make sure to carry around with me a bottle of water for my first Comic Con, and I was doing a male version of Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
So I had my makeup on, my hair done, my jacket, and all the rest on, and I had my own hammer with me. And I was like, "Ugh, I'm not going to need a bottle of water." I still needed a bottle of water by the end of the day. So always make sure you carry a bottle of water. There you go, water. You have your endorsement.
yeah. Always bring your water. See?
Definitely.
This has Pepsi in it, not water.
Well, this has no water in it. It had water in it, but there's nothing in it now. Completely empty. Um, so yes, that's a piece of advice I would um, um, Violet has said, just make sure that you have your either mental list or physical list in front of you so that you can
Yeah.
check things off. Um, so what are some of the like more fun things that you've got to do through cosplaying?
Well, I cosplay almost every day at this point just because I'm more comfortable in it.
Uh-huh.
I think the best thing I did was because I'm currently living in Sunderland,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to go out shopping one time, and I was in Harley Quinn's Arkham Asylum dress, or is it Arkham City? One of them she has a dress and it's black, and I had that. I didn't have my baseball bat, but I had the rest of the costume on.
Uh-huh.
And I went into town, and I found a TARDIS. They'd built a TARDIS in the middle of the shopping centre in Sunderland.
Wow.
So I got to take some really fun photos of Harley Quinn just running in and out of a TARDIS.
That must have been so great.
It was the best.
Um,
It's not something you expect to see randomly in the middle of town.
we have in the town that's kind of close to me, or should I say the city that's close to me, there's the outside of the TARDIS, like the
Yeah.
kind of blue telephone box. There's a few of them dotted around the city that's close to me in Glasgow, and I just remember um, just taking pictures of it at one point when I was there. And I was saying to my friend, I'm so posting this on Instagram. And he's like, You're such a nerd. I'm like, Well, I don't get to come here very often. And how often do you see Doctor Who's TARDIS? You know?
Yeah.
Um, so you mentioned about your hammer and your prop gun. Props in general, do you make them? Do you buy them in?
Um, I haven't actually bought a prop yet.
Good on you.
I've made most of my costumes and most of my props. And although I don't think it's wrong to go to a con in a bought costume, it's something that personally I could never do. Because I like to be proud of my own work and show it off.
Hmm.
But I do own two bought costumes and I do adore them both.
Awesome. You mentioned well, props actually. We'll go back to props. Um, when you're going to a Comic Con, would you take a big massive prop with you, or would you go with one that's kind of like medium sized and not that much of a hassle, or do you prefer the smaller props that could easily fit in like your pocket or your purse or whatever?
I've never done a cosplay with a small prop. And I usually end up, my props are like twice the size that I am. So like my Maca Allburn scythe was the first prop I ever made, and it was from the floor to my head height, about that much above my head height, and wider than I can show on the camera. It was like from here all the way to out there.
Uh-huh.
I could just say hold it like with my other arm so that I didn't stab anyone with the blade.
Um, so do you find that they can be quite a hindrance when you're going to Comic Cons?
They can be a little bit. I know. The problem with the South was it was quite a small con.
Hmm.
It was a local one to me in Stanley called MarioCon, and I couldn't walk around with the scythe unless I held right at the bottom of the handle, so it was completely up in the air above everyone's head height. I just had to kind of balance it like that walking around so I didn't stab anyone.
When you're doing like photo shoots, do you tend to go like more out for props and such then? Is that a kind of chance for you to just go right and taking every single prop I can take?
Well, actually, I've got a shoot coming up. Is my Jinx,
Hmm.
and I am intending to take all three guns, my grenades, and the little bitey things she has too. I don't know what they're called.
Is that like not on her grenades? Like, is it not like
No,
a little?
has little bear trap things as well.
Oh, right.
But her
Um,
grenades do have teeth on them.
yeah. I remember watching the music video for Jinx,
Yeah,
and she throws the grenade at one point, and it does do the kind of clapping thing,
yeah.
which I think is awesome. Um, so you're going to be taking all the props to your photo shoot as Jinx. How many props will you have there with you?
I'll have, well, I've got two grenades and two of the clippy things, and then fishbones, pow pow, and zap zap. So seven props.
Wow. And didn't you mention earlier that you're going to need to remake one of those props?
Yeah, I'm going to be remaking pow pow.
How long will that take you?
Um, as long as I get the materials, I can probably do the base product in about a day, and then I'll just have to wait for the slow process of painting, waiting for it to dry, painting, waiting for it to dry.
Awesome. So you could probably get a prop done within maybe 2, 3 days or a week.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, when you're making props, do you tend to go with like cardboard or actual like plastics?
It really just depends on the prop that I'm making. For my first prop, PVC pipe from B&Q is definitely a must-have in prop making, I think.
Hmm.
Because just about every single prop you need to make, PVC pipe will be handy. I know I used it for the handle for my scythe because it was so big and needed to be sturdy.
Hmm.
I used it for the majority of Pow Pow to do the three bars in it. And Fishbones has PVC pipe wrapped around a Nerf gun, and then everything else built on top of that. So
Awesome. Um,
plastic and foam.
do you use cardboard as well or
I use cardboard sometimes, but foam is definitely my preferred.
medium?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my next question is it's a little bit of an awkward, well, not awkward one, but interesting one. Um, Before I first started going to Comic Cons or before I first went to Comic Cons, I assumed it was all relatively the same kind of age group, people in their like mid-teens to early 30s. So surprised that when I went, there were multiple different age groups. Is that something that you noticed as well?
Yeah, there was a lot of different ages cosplaying, and I think I do think it's amazing when you see the older people cosplaying that have sometimes been a bit nervous when, oh well, my colleagues are like, no, you shouldn't be doing this, you're too old. But
Hmm.
they're still doing what they enjoy, and I think it's really inspirational.
Awesome. Um, how do you feel when you see the really young children cosplaying I don't want to say babies, but like toddlers maybe?
Yeah, I think it's very adorable, and it means they're showing interest in something geeky and fun when they're really young. So I do agree with it as long as it's characters suitable for their age range.
Hmm.
I do think it's a bit odd when you see like 6, 7 year olds wandering around in Deadpool costumes and stuff like that. That I don't think's right, but if they're doing someone from a show that maybe they likes for the age range, fine.
So what is like the cutest cosplay that you've seen this year so far from like a small child?
A small child definitely shouldn't have been cosplaying her, but I saw her. she must have only been 2, 3 year old, and she was dressed as Hit Girl from Kick Ass. And she had a little purple suit and a little skirt, and Hit Girl's like big stick knife thing, and it was pretty cute.
Aw. Um, for me, it had to be like I had the opportunity to go to a Halloween event, and I seen this little kid dressed as this kind of bug,
Yeah,
and I was like, I wonder if that's supposed to be like a flattened bug or something. And I did have kind of slightly scary makeup on, so I was like very hesitant to go up to this child. Um, but at the finish up, I was like, no, I have to go up because their older brother had at Ghostbuster, and he could have only have been about like 7 years old.
yeah,
So I was like, yep, that kid was cute. This one's even cuter, so I'm going up to it. And I just remember thinking, oh, please don't cry. Like when I went up to him, I was like, please don't cry, please don't cry, please just don't cry. Um, but as soon as the kid saw me, his face just kind of like lit up, and he just started laughing, and I was like, oh, thank God, you know, because I'm always really scared that, especially around Halloween time when you've got kind of like monster makeup on,
yeah.
that
I
you're
think,
gonna unintentionally scare a child.
think like I've accidentally made a child cry, and it wasn't good. I've been doing the promotion for SunnyCon,
Hmm.
and there's a podcast called Welcome to Night Vale, and so I'd been dressed as like the main character from that, and he's a guy called Cecil, but I was doing like the gender bended version,
Uh-huh.
and he has a third eye, and with me being really into special effects makeup, I did my third eye, and it was really, really, really realistic. And we'd sort of left to go for lunch, and it was like me, my friend in his big Skyrim armor, and then my boyfriend and another few friends as well. And we were all in cosplay of various sorts. We were sitting in McDonald's and was okay, like, oh my god, his armor's amazing, and just kept staring at him. And I turned around with my third eye, and she just burst into tears.
Oh no.
And it took us about 10 minutes to calm her down. And then when she finally calmed down, her big sister does special effects makeup and stuff like this. So it's just like, oh, it's just what your big sister does, and it ended in her just sitting there going like that to my third eye.
Oh, that's classic. Only children. So before we do the Passover, which is the opportunity for you to tell us where we can get a hold of you, if we get any further questions other than down here in the comments, guys. See, there's like comments down here. There's also a like and a subscribe where you can follow all the other videos as well as ones with Kobe Kicks and Little Rascal and indeed Alphabeti. Um, so my last question for you is, what advice would you give anyone who is looking to cosplay, but they're a little unsure where to start and maybe a little insecure of themselves?
I'd say the best advice is one, you can be whoever you want. It doesn't matter your shape, your size, your age. As long as you like that character and you think you can be them, then go ahead and wear the biggest smile you can because you've got to be proud of who you are. And two, all of the cosplayers I know, including myself, we're all really, really friendly. And Koshak, you called me a video. We're, we're all really, really friendly and ask us, and we will help you. I mean, I know Kobe Kicks runs her workshop on a Tuesday, and if you're local to like Durham, you're welcome to come along. And we are all just cosplayers, and we're all there to help each other.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm always available to answer messages and things like that, and I'll just try and help.
Awesome. So there you have it, guys. So now is the part in the interview where I like to turn over to my guests and ask them, where can we get a hold of you if we have any further questions? And are there any other things that you're involved with on the likes of YouTube or any other cosplay event, well, groups that you're part of, kind of thing? So stage is yours, my dear.
All right, well, My main platform is my Facebook.
Hmm.
I have Violet Lawley at Cosplay at facebook.com. I think that's the right link.
Hmm.
Find me if you type in Violet Laureate.
It will be in the description below, guys, so have a look in the description.
As well as I have Creepy Miss Pasta on YouTube if you're into like listening to creepy pastas and things like that. As well as Creepy Miss Pasta Gaming where I do the gaming side of things. And
Awesome.
that's practically it for me.
Awesome. Well, again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out and sitting down with us and going through a mountain of cosplay. Hopefully, we've yanked through a few cosplay skeletons out of the closet.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, guys, don't forget to check out all the links for Miss Creepypasta and Miss Creepypasta Gaming, as well as Violet's cosplay page on Facebook. They will all be down in, I think down in the description, just like down there. There it is. Check it out. Also, guys, don't forget to have a look on iGame Online, where we post regular things like our merch series. You'll also find you might be watching this interview on iGame for all I know.
Yeah.
Um, have a look on there, see what you can find. There are a ton of different things. Also, don't forget to check out the TV drop as well, where you'll hear me talking about the entire week's worth of TV events. And hopefully, I'll see you guys again soon with another interview. So, bye everyone.
Bye.